I'm John. Before we get started, I want to tell you why this channel exists. I've been in 2 relationships, 26 years combined, with 2 women who both hurt me badly. One whose narcissism was loud and impossible to miss. One whose was so quiet it took me years to even see what was happening. I didn't have the words for any of it while I was living through it. This series is built mainly for men over 40 who are living with, or have lived through, a relationship with a narcissist. Though if any of this sounds familiar to you, whoever you are, you're welcome here too. This series is me handing you the words I wish someone had given me sooner. If anything in today's episode sounds familiar, you're not imagining it, and you're not alone. Last time, I promised you I'd tell this story properly, instead of hiding behind theory. So here it is, the first of 2. This one's about the relationship that came first, and it was the loud one. I'll call her Claire, not her real name, but everything else is what actually happened. We were together 13 years. For a long stretch of that, I'd have told you it was a good marriage, maybe even a great one. I want to walk you through it the way I actually lived it, the parts that pulled me in, the moment I nearly left and didn't, the years that genuinely worked, and then how it came apart. I'm not telling you this so you feel sorry for me. I'm telling you because if any part of it sounds like your own relationship, I want you to catch it faster than I did. We met through a mutual connection, and it was immediate, both ways. She was still married at the time, unhappy in it, and she made it clear pretty fast that she wanted out and wanted in with me. I liked her energy. I liked how much attention she gave me. But almost right away, there were things that didn't add up. Drinking I wasn't meant to know about. Nights out that ran later than they should have. Other men calling a phone that was supposed to be just for us. None of it was dramatic enough, on its own, to walk away over. All of it, looked at honestly, was already telling me something. About 6 months in, I tried to end it. The moment I tried to walk away, she changed, fast and completely. She found religion, started attending church, asked me to come with her, and told me she wanted children. I went along with all of it. Looking back, I can see the shape of what happened. The moment I pulled back, something shifted to pull me back in. At the time, it just felt like she'd grown up, settled down, become the person I'd hoped she'd be. What came next didn't look like chaos from the outside. It looked like stability. 6 years of church, me eventually becoming a minister myself, a wedding, twins. If you'd asked me at any point in that stretch whether I was in a healthy relationship, I'd have told you yes, and I wouldn't have felt like I was lying to you. But here's what I can see now that I couldn't then, and it's why I'm telling you this part slowly instead of jumping straight to the affair. Conversations ran one way far more often than not. I did most of the housework. I handled most of the day-to-day care of our sons. When something wasn't working for her, I was the one who adjusted. Not because she ever demanded it outright, more that I'd learned pushing back wasn't worth the friction it caused. So I bit my lip and let it go, over and over, for years. That wasn't a marriage running smoothly. That was already narcissistic abuse, even though nobody was shouting, and even though I couldn't have named it at the time. The good years weren't something we built together. They were something I built, entirely out of my own compromise, and I didn't notice that's what I'd been doing until everything else came apart, and I was forced to look back at all of it with different eyes. About a year after the twins were born, she started drifting back to who she'd been before. The drinking came back. The nights out came back. Church stopped. I didn't see it as a reversion at the time. I told myself it was a rough patch. It took me years and a lot of research after the marriage ended to see it as part of a pattern instead of a string of unrelated bad decisions. Then I found out she was having an affair. I remember the strange, disorienting feeling of every year of my own compromise reorganizing itself in my head, all at once, every time I'd adjusted, every time I'd bitten my lip, suddenly reading completely differently. We tried to move past it. For a while, that meant throwing ourselves back into the relationship almost by force, as if enough closeness now could undo what had already happened. It couldn't, not really. But something in me had shifted for good, even if I couldn't have explained it clearly at the time. About a year later, it happened again. This time, there was no scramble in me to save anything. Her reaction told me what I needed to know. No remorse. Nothing that suggested any of it had cost her anything at all. That absence, not the act itself, the complete absence of anything on her face that looked like it mattered to her, is what actually broke it for me. I filed for divorce not long after. The process that followed was long, and it was hard. Harder, in some ways, than the marriage ending itself. Custody wasn't straightforward. It took time, and it took the courts, before I ended up raising our sons full-time. I'm not going to walk you through every detail of it here. That's not really what this episode is for. What matters is where it landed, and what it cost to get there. 13 years after it started, the marriage I genuinely hadn't wanted to end was over. Before I move on, here's the one thing actually worth taking from all of this, not just the story itself. If you want the one moment I'd change, it isn't a big, dramatic scene. It's much smaller than that. It's the 6-month mark, right at the start, when everything in me already knew something wasn't right, and I let a sudden, convenient change talk me out of my own instincts. I wasn't wrong back then. I just didn't trust that I was right. So here's what I'd actually suggest, if any of this sounds familiar. First, if you try to leave and the response is a sudden, total transformation, give it real time before you recalibrate your trust, not just relief that the pressure's off. Second, watch for the quieter abuse hiding inside the good years, not just the dramatic moments either side of them. If you're the one always adjusting, always swallowing what you actually think so there's less friction, that's worth naming honestly, even while things otherwise feel fine. Third, this isn't a call to distrust every reconciliation. Those years were real years to me. It's a call to watch whether a change survives once the thing that provoked it has passed, not just whether it shows up when it's needed most. I've told you this story as plainly as I can, and I've left plenty out on purpose. Some of it because it's still not fully mine to tell, and some because the broad shape matters more than every specific detail. Thinking back to that opening scene, the conversation she talked straight over, the one she went quiet on instead, and the flat look on her face when I finally asked her to explain herself, if you're living through something with that same shape, years that were genuinely good sitting either side of years that genuinely weren't, or a version of yourself that quietly got smaller without one single moment you could point to, I want you to know that doesn't make your experience less real, and it doesn't make you foolish for having believed the good years while they lasted. And if you recognized something of yourself as the one doing the redirecting, or the one going quiet, that's worth sitting with honestly too, not with shame. Next time, I'll tell you about the second relationship, the quiet one, the one that took me years to even see clearly, and in some ways, cost me more. If today's episode helped, hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss it. And if you want to go deeper than one episode can take you, the first book in this series is out now on Amazon, and a private community for men going through exactly this is opening soon too. Both links are in the description below. I'll see you there.